Hello YouTube! Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Darin Nakakihara. I am a 4th grade teacher in Southern California, and today's video I'm going to talk to you a little bit about one of the features in Office 365 called Forms. For those of you that are not familiar with Forms, Forms is a way to collect data from people. And as a teacher, this is a quick and efficient way for you to gather data on your students. And I'm going to show you one of the ways that I use it in my classroom. So as a teacher, I love to use Forms to gather data on my kids. And one of the ways that I use it is through a daily survey. Now this daily survey is a simple, just 4 or 5 question form that tells me how they're doing, how they're feeling about a certain subject, if they're understanding a concept, or through like a pre-assessment where we can find out how much they know already, and that can help us inform our instruction and adjust it accordingly. And so one of the things that I love about using Microsoft Forms is the way that it aggregates data. And the folks over at Microsoft asked me to do a little video on how I use it for grading and reporting. I guess you could use this for a formal grade, but normally I use this just as a formative assessment and to help me understand exactly where my kids are at. So let's dive into Microsoft Forms and let me show you how I use it in my classroom. Okay guys, the first thing that you got to do is navigate over to Forms, and all of the apps from the Office suite can be found at office.com, or you can go directly to them by starting with the app that you're looking for, in this case Forms, forms.office.com. I'm going to log in from there. And here you can see some of the surveys that I've done. This was last Friday, and let's look at how I set this thing up. The first thing that I do, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I take attendance with my morning surveys. And these kids take these surveys every single day, and I use it to really inform my instruction. I get so much information from these surveys, it's invaluable to me. I don't know how I would teach without these things. So the first thing that I do is I ask them to put their name in there, and then I take attendance that way by finding out who has not taken it. It's that simple. And then I have them rate their level of happiness, or how they're doing, how they're feeling about something, this week we're starting testing, so I asked them about that. And then this was kind of just a fun one because it was May the 4th, last Friday, and we watched Star Wars, so I just asked them a couple of Star Wars questions. Now, usually I'll ask them a language arts question and a math question about either something that we're already studying or something we're about to study, just to figure out where exactly they're at. And then the last question I always ask is if they would like to say something to me or ask me something. And this question came from that thing that was happening last year where a teacher handed out little index cards and said, hey, you know, if you would like me to know something, what I wish my teacher knew. And kids will just write whatever is in their heart, you know what I mean? And so that's where that one came from, and I never show those results. So this is what it looks like when we go over it. So after they finish, it takes like 5 to 10 minutes for them to finish these surveys. They have a seat, and then we go over this whole class. And what I do is I look on here and I'm like, okay, there's 32 people that have taken this, but there are 34 people in the class, so there's 2 people missing here. So I look through right over here and I look for zeros. And here's a couple zeros. I know that I saw them earlier this morning and they just didn't take the survey for whatever reason, or at that point, you know, you really just have to look around the room to see if you can see two kids, and if you see them, then they're there. And voila, your attendance is done for you. Next, I look at the happiness scale right here, and I can see that this one, the happiness scale is 4.97. So we're a pretty happy class right now. And then you can see that their level of readiness for the state testing that we're beginning today is a little bit lower at 4.28. So I wonder what's going on there. But it's a good topic for discussion. So all of this information is great data and great conversation starters. If you click on the more data, you can see exactly what each person rated. So if I go into this one, I can see, oh, this person right here rated a 2, 3, 3, 3. So there's 1, ooh, and then a 1. So there's one person, and then you can go back in and look at each individual person's answers to each question if you want to dig a little deeper. But look at these wonderful graphs that it gives you. Let's see if I can go back. This one is okay. So here's another survey that I've given them on a different Friday. And again, it starts out with attendance and then happiness. And then I'm asking them questions about things that we're working on in class. How many inches are in 3 yards? And how many cups are in a gallon? And then, you know, little self-reflection. Rate your understanding of measurement. So while the way that they take these surveys in the morning, the data isn't perfect because they're working in, they're standing there, depending on the day. If we have one-to-one devices, then the data is probably a little more accurate. But a lot of times I only have 4 devices in here, and each kid just waits in line for one of the devices to take the survey. And at that point, because they're all working off of one device, the data probably gets skewed a little bit because they can just say, hey, what's this answer? But I ask them, to be truthful and to, really answer it themselves. And if they don't know, I need to know that information so that we can work on it together. And so I don't know that I would use these on days like that for grading, but the reporting, the data that you get from these surveys using Microsoft Forms is incredible, you guys. It's incredible. So let's take a look at some of the data that we got. Okay, so on this day I had 29 people here, and you can see that I would just go through and look for the people that are not there, and I would look for them. That's how I take attendance every day. It's just something I've found that has been so efficient in finding attendance that I use it all the time. Okay, 4 59/100ths for their level of happiness, so it's a little bit lower than that other day, and I'm wondering why. It's interesting. Okay, how many inches are in a yard? This was a fill-in question, so you can see I have all these different answers. 109 inches, 68 inches. Interesting. So I know that at this point, look, I don't know. 108 inches. We have some work to do on this, right? We have some work to do on this. Was it 3 yards? 3 yards, okay. So we know that 36 inches is 1 yard, and these guys right here, 108 inches, they were adding 36 plus 36 plus 36. Well done, guys, well done. But we still, oh yeah, look, someone even wrote that. But I still had many kids that wrote 36 inches. So we're going to need to talk about maybe reading the question more carefully, because obviously they have some knowledge of how many inches are in a yard, but maybe they didn't go through and think about 3 of these things, right? 3 yards. And then gallons, look at that, 16, 16, 16. Let's look a little deeper. If we go in here, we can see everybody's answers. Still a variety of answers, but for the most part, 16 is pretty good, right? So what would you do at this point? At this point, you're probably okay to continue moving forward and maybe pulling these people that that answered incorrectly, and you can pull them into a little small group and then clear up any misunderstandings from that point on. You can see that the class as a whole thinks that they have a fairly good grasp of measurement. And again, this would indicate to me that we just need to tighten up a couple of things, and it's probably okay to move on. And then that last question again, you can see nothing, nothing, nothing. If they have anything that they'd like to say to me, they find it there. Microsoft Forms, guys. There are many, many other tutorials that will show you how to set up a form. This is just one way that I use it for grading and reporting, and really to get information from my class in a quick and efficient way. If you think about it, I took 5 to 10 minutes to get all that information. Now I know that I can pull certain people. I've identified those people. I've identified the fact that these guys are ready to move on from measurement. And I kind of know, I have a feeling about where the class is at on an emotional level as well. And gosh, how important is that to know? Microsoft Forms, guys, it's a great way for you to get the pulse of your class and to get some understanding about where they're at on a certain topic. So there it is, guys, Microsoft Forms. So for all of you Microsoft 365 users out there, I highly encourage you to dive into Microsoft Forms and use it to gather some valuable student data. I'm telling you that this will give you more information and better information than you have ever been able to do in the past. Honestly, if you think about how are you reaching your kids, there's no way that you could reach every single one of them this efficiently. This is an opportunity for them all to have a voice in your classroom and really express exactly how they're doing. So if we're talking about personalized learning, this is an essential part of personalized learning because you are at this point armed with enough data to personalize the student experience for every single one of your kids. My name is Darin Nakakihara. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe to this channel if you like what you see. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.